tell our viewers a bit more about the different career opportunities within the finance world?
Sure. So, actually, the finance domain is extremely varied. There are so many paths that you can take within the finance domain, and they're all very different from each other. So, one is, of course, investment banking that we'll be going into detail a little bit later. But there are a number of things like credit and equity research. So, all of the broker reports that you probably would have seen or would have heard about, maybe a buy rating or a sell rating that a specific broker house or a research house has given to a particular stock or a particular debt instrument by a particular company. So these are the so-called public side researchers who work on particular companies. Risk management typically looks at what are the kind of assets that a particular bank is taking on its own balance sheet, and in order to ensure that the risk that they're taking is not disproportionately higher than the returns that they're expected to receive. Asset management, as we all might be aware, asset management is all about portfolio management and just ensuring that the overall portfolio of an individual or a company or an organization is aligned with the principles that a particular entity or person might have, or in terms of the outlook that they have for the funds that they want to invest into the markets. Treasury, again, is something that is an internal company vertical, which takes care of what the company does with its spare cash. Obviously, as an organization, you can't just leave your money lying around in FDs like we sometimes tend to do. So this is the team that takes care of all the money decisions and how it should be wisely and optimally invested. Sales and trading, these are two teams which are very much aligned with the public markets. They're again on the public side of the operations, where the trading team is actually the one placing the orders, making the markets, and fulfilling the orders of various clients. And the sales team is sort of the interface between the client and the trading team. Economic research is obviously also very critical to finance, because a large part of the trading and a large part of the investment banking divisions are very much impacted by the broader financial markets. So it is very critical to be aware of the trends and the various patterns that one can see once they are able to analyze a particular trend over a period of time or maybe across industries. Then quantitative analysis becomes quite technical. They take, instead of a fundamental approach, they take a more quantitative approach to analyzing the business, and in order to again identify trends that they can probably use for their own benefit and probably automate trading and similar such activities. Private equity and venture capital have of course become very popular in recent times, given the complete boom that is going on currently in the Indian markets and startups. So these are the entities that so-called take a much higher risk and take bets on relatively new ideas. Even though they're very high risk, the expectation is of course of a proportionately high return. That by nature of these businesses is what private equity and venture capital are about. The only difference between private equity and venture capital is the stage at which investors enter a particular business. Venture capital is when the business is a little more nascent. Private equity comes in once the startup business matures a little bit and has a little more traction. Corporate finance is more focused on, in general, if you are part of a company, how is the budgeting happening? What is the kind of expenditure that is going, where it is going? What are the kind of capital structure decisions that need to be taken? And how do you accept or reject a particular project? And will it add to the net worth of the company? All of these kind of decisions are taken by the corporate finance team. Then, of course, FinTech is something that is fast evolving and emerging as a key area of employment opportunities. And we have all heard of homegrown names like Paytm and BillDesk and so many others that are blooming right now. So this is also a great place to be in and very dynamic as well. Retail banking is the more traditional kind of banking, like the HDFCs and the Axis Banks of the world, which cater to people like you and I, and also to corporates as well as to HNIs, depending on which part of the bank a particular entity or a particular person is dealing with. Then accounts auditing is something that you would be more familiar with in terms of what a CA does. Basically, you go through the accounts of a particular company, and you need to ensure that these are legitimate and these have been prepared in line with the accounting policies that have been set out as per the Indian general accounting policies, or whatever standard is being followed in whichever country you're operating in. And financial planning and analysis can be thought of as a subset of corporate finance, but also it has a strategy angle to it, where you need to ensure that the decisions that are being taken are also being used to further the growth and the presence of a particular company in their domain.
Great. Thank you so much for walking us through all the different career paths within the finance world.